For Vlogger 742, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody out there who's gotten fit with me, and thanks for sending me all that cool protein powder. You can stop sending it to me now. It's all going bad. I can only eat about 7 pounds of it a day. I just can't keep up.
Hola. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna work. I've got a tripod on top of a tripod right now. I'm not even gonna explain why that's the case. We're just gonna leave it as it is. Good morning, it's Saturday, and I've tried to do this a couple times now. I'm trying to figure out, my brain is not functioning properly right now because it is hot. Today's better. I don't know if it's the heat, I don't know what it is, but I'm just not fully functioning. And there's a number of things that I want to talk about. And yesterday I actually cut 5 minutes out of the vlog because I went on a ramble about stuff that I don't think is, it's germane, but not fully formulated. And there are certain things I really want to talk about moving forward that I just need to figure out a little bit first. But at the same time, I want to talk about them while they're still relevant, while we're still in the moment, because one of the things that I'm really seeking to do here in this communication is to make sure that we're on the same page, that you know what I'm thinking, where I'm going, what I'm doing, because I want to get there together. I don't want there to be any weird surprises along the way. Not that there's anything weird coming, but there's plenty weird, but nothing weird. But the main thing that I was thinking about yesterday and that I'm working on formulating is how do we take this and move with it into the future, so to speak. I know one of the things that interests people, I don't talk that much about the vlog itself, like how I vlog, the decisions that I'm making, a lot of the structure of it. I would like to, but I don't think that that's particularly interesting to a large portion of my audience. If you're already tuning out or getting bored, come back tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be significantly more interesting than today's vlog for you. But for those of you, there are a number of you that are interested in the nuts and bolts, like how do I vlog, what's going into what, the decisions that I make, how are things growing, how are things going? And those are things that I'm trying to figure out how the best way to share. And I know that that's an arena that we can move into in the future. So how do I deliver that? And moving into the third season of vlogging, the first season was just executing. Like the first season was so much about showing up, getting it done, actually like making it happen and telling a story every day. The second season was so much more about vulnerability, like owning up to the realities, the dreams, the hopes, the failures, and thankfully some successes as well, and really just opening up a broader door of conversation. And then the third season for me, which is coming up, the third season starts in just a few weeks. It's so much more about professionalizing things, like trying to take better care of myself, trying to set up some better boundaries between my personal life and what I'm doing here, as well as giving myself space to write, giving myself some space and structure to develop into, and really trying to take things to the next level, to just continue to grow and move into the future and produce and provide the best and better content here than I ever have before, while giving myself room to stay sane and not be super exhausted. I was talking about how I'm fairly discombobulated right now, and it's partially the heat, but it's also that vlogging every day takes a lot out of you. And that's one of the things that I never really talk about, because I have talked about it before a little bit. Like I talked about like things I wish I would have known before I started vlogging, and a couple other things where I was really just like getting pummeled. The reality is that, I choose to do this. This is something that I really enjoy, and I love setting up a camera and talking every day. I love editing to music. Some days when I'm really just not feeling it at all, all it takes is picking the right song that matches the day, and I'm off to the races, and I'm enjoying it. And some days I really just don't want to do it, but I make myself do it anyways, because you got to just show up and do it. But all that to say that it does take a legitimate toll. There's a lot of pressure to make sure to stay on top of it. I don't succumb to too much external pressure, but I do imagine external pressures that I internalize, and really it's all about my own expectations. Like when I think about it, I have certain standards that I want to be hitting. I have certain benchmarks I want to be hitting. I feel like I have a certain product that I need to deliver in the form of the vlog based on intrinsic promises that I've made in setting out to tell the story that I've set out to tell, as well as within the format that I've chosen and the ways that I've edited. Yesterday I put no music in it because I just wanted to try something different, and I actually haven't looked at the comments yet to see if anybody's freaked out about that. I did notice a couple comments come through. I'm not too worried about, I don't know how much you actually want to know about my thought process about what it is. Like I imagine someday somebody will, not that you don't care, but I imagine someday that I'll get asked to actually speak at a conference or something. I don't know that that's true, even just on a panel somewhere, and somebody will care enough to be like, well, why did you do what you did, and blah, blah, blah. And I look forward to sharing it in that way a little bit more, but I'm just trying to figure out what the boundaries are here, where they line up. And so When I don't talk about how tired I am, a lot of that's because I used to talk about how tired I was just because I was physically very, very tired, but I never really attributed that fully to just how much work goes into making a video every day, editing it, showing up, like just turning the camera on, being able to speak. Like I said, this is my third time just sitting down and rambling. Hopefully this is the last time. Hopefully I get out whatever it is I'm trying to say this time. But there's still, even though this is a direct to camera, I'm speaking directly to you, technically breaking the fourth wall most of the time, there's still a wall here, right? There's just certain things I don't think that you want to know. I mean, we've talked about how there's certain arenas, like I don't talk about my dating life just because I don't want to undercut my chances with someone down the line who doesn't like the fact that I talk about the women I date. Like, granted, if I end up with somebody long term, it's going to be somebody who's okay with this because, I mean, I'm in the midst of this. I'm not going to meet and get into a romantic situation with somebody who's not okay with me vlogging. That's just, I'm naturally limiting the pool of women that I can even approach or be approached by. But I got to be really careful talking about that because it involves another person who I don't even know that person yet, if that makes sense. And in the same way, like, I don't want to come across as whiny, or there's certain layers of communication about the vlog and about the way things are going that I'm just not sure how it would come across. And I want to, I've said this before, but whether it's fame or success or wild failure is easier to talk about, actually, I feel like, in the long term than success. Because, like, let's say that I do get famous to the point that I'm making a good amount of money and I can't go on the street without getting stopped multiple times. And it'll introduce a lot of new complications and weird, like, super first world problems into my life that I would love to be able to talk about. I would love to be able to share, like, what is this transition like? What does it look like to go from working really hard and nobody knowing who I am and barely making it to this category that we see as very successful, but here are the other problems that come with it. So one of the reasons I really love Macklemore, he's like my independent artist spirit animal, but one of the reasons I love him is that he talks very much about the realities of what it was like before and after he was successful and famous. And again, not that I'm not in this to get famous, and I'm not in this to, like, strike it rich or anything, but that is a natural byproduct of succeeding at what it is that I'm trying to do through the writing and through this and through ultimately hopefully making movies, whatever else. Like, there are natural byproducts that come along with that then are actually very complicated to share because nobody wants to hear you complain about the problems that come with your success, but also because I feel like there's weirdness to it that it's hard to understand until you've experienced it. And I'm starting to see that. I feel like I'm starting to straddle a fence where I've got a foot in both worlds, and I'm still able to see how it's weird from this angle and how it's weird from this angle. I guess what I want to try to do is always keep a foot in both so that I can try to accurately communicate how I'm feeling to both sides of that fence, if there is a fence. But I'm just worried that it'll come across really douchey. And so I'm thinking about that as well as trying to build something with what we have going on here and the growth that we're seeing with the vlog. It's very slow. I know it seems quick and everybody mentions how quick it is. And I know that it's moving now finally, but also that's another thing that I don't want to complain about, but that I really feel, so this is an experiment in the honesty moments. I put in over 2 years of work into my vlog, right? I've made a video every day. I've showed up, I've shot, I've edited, I've uploaded every day for over 2 years, with the exception of a break that I took last summer between seasons. That's a lot of work, and I didn't even cross the 1,000 subscriber mark until after that first season was done. So after 378 videos or whatever that was. And so then getting to where we're at now, it's great, and I'm very, very grateful for it. And I think that's the great fear that I have, is that by expressing how, like, I feel a little bit deflated sometimes, or a little bit like maybe I'm not doing it right, or maybe it's not good enough, or whatever the doubts that I'm having. I don't want that to undercut the absolute earth-shattering gratitude I have for the way that it's growing, for the fact that I'm pretty much a full-time YouTuber now. Like, these are very, very good things. I'm very, very fortunate, and I am so thankful, and I cannot wait to go to the meetup tonight and meet patrons and subscribers, people that are a part of this. You know, I want that. I'm looking forward to that opportunity, and I'm so thankful. But it can be so hard from the inside to look at it and think, like, I'm putting in so much work. It took me however many years of work and experience and trial and error, and, like, you know, I've been trying to become an independent artist for the better part of a decade and be able to live off of it. And on the one hand, I recognize the fact that it's even working makes me extremely fortunate, and I'm so grateful for that. And so that's what tempers me from ever being like, yeah, but man, like, it's hard, and I'm struggling sometimes, and I just feel this weight of, like, wow, like, is this ever going to go anywhere? You know, if not, what do you do? And we're at a spot now where it feels like we're kind of in a teetering transition point, right? Maybe we're gonna hit that tipping point soon and maybe we won't. But how do I express that? How do I share that? And how does that all come together in a way that's beneficial? And so yesterday when I cut out 5 minutes of talking, it was because I was kind of thinking out loud about the structure that I'm imagining, getting help. I'm talking to a friend here about coming on board as being like my assistant. I've needed an assistant for years, but I can't afford to pay an assistant. So how do you work out a structure that works, that this person helps to work to grow the thing that then they will benefit from as well? How do you treat people fairly? How do you extend that vulnerability, that transparency in a business structure that then benefits the people around you without ever exploiting them or taking advantage of them, especially when you're starting out? You can't afford them to begin with, but knowing that there's a real chance that you could afford them if only they came on board and helped you afford them. But I'm kind of scared to share that stuff out loud until it's fully formulated. And so Richard and I are gonna talk more about like the structural side of things, and then we'll see what comes after that. And Phil and I had a good talk about that today regarding the artist side, like pulling in people like Sonia with the t-shirt this month and other friends to really help them build what they're doing and hopefully leapfrog a lot of the pain that I've gotten to go through in this really long and arduous struggle that is bearing fruit finally. But definitely goes through a long period of not. And that is the tension, is that I feel like I also want to make sure that this is on the table and there's an understanding that it's really hard and there's a struggle before we get to that point where everybody's just like, well, yeah, but blah, like, oh, cry me a river, Mr. Captain Awesome, blah, blah, blah. Like, hopefully nobody ever calls me Captain Awesome. But you know what I mean? Like when people see like, oh, well, you're doing fine for yourself, you have no right to complain. I already get some of those comments and it's just like, I'm okay. Sure. That's where my headspace is at a little bit today. That's where my headspace is at all the time. Let's be honest. Like I'm always thinking about this, and generally I am very good. Generally I'm very happy, very excited. Like if you go back a year ago, I was so stressed out. I was so overwhelmed. This is about the time a year ago where I was realizing like I needed to seek legal help to get out from underneath the burdens that I was under. Like there was real stress, real desperation, and now I'm chill. Like I can take a day to just kind of like figure myself out, have coffee and lunch with a friend, go have a meetup, and know that it's actually going to be beneficial to like take a step back, decompress, and take the next day in stride. And that is a gift, and I am so grateful for that. And so incredibly grateful for that. So life is very good. And that's why I was saying too, that like, if I'm going to write this book about my experiences here, whatever, I'm not sure where the start and end of that is. I got to figure out too much to say and talk about in a way, and try to narrow it down into an actual story. But the reason that even if I write it and never share it because it's not good enough or whatever else, like the process of just going back through and reflecting over the last 5 to 10 years and seeing how far I've come, seeing all of the heartache and the struggle and just how miserable things got and how dark things got, and then to be kind of coming out the other side. Yeah, it's not a miracle, but it feels miraculous, if that makes sense. So thank you for being a part of that as well. If you're watching this right now, especially if you made it this far in, you're definitely a part of that. So thank you very much. Now, how do we continue this conversation as things grow and as we iterate and as we move into kind of whatever the next stage really is? And it's really funny to talk about the next stage because this goes back, this all ties in together. Part of the reason that it feels so weird to be talking about going to the next stage is because I feel like we've barely even entered into the first stage. And it's taken me so long just to get here that it starts to feel a little bit premature to be thinking of the future and how things are going that way. But like, I know that it's not premature. I know that now is the right time to be thinking like, how do we iterate? How do we adjust things so that in 6 months or a year or whatever, the vlogging side of things maybe starts to cool off a little bit. Maybe you guys lose interest in me entirely. Who knows? What are we building while we're hanging out together? What do we build that keeps us all together and moving forward towards common visions, common goals? And yeah, how do we make sure that this is a thing and not just a flash in the pan? And how do we make sure that we all benefit from it? We all have a good time and we all learn stuff and we all get good stuff out of it. We all just, yeah, how do we make this a thing? Which is not vague at all. I'm going to end that now. I'm going to end it now because I don't even know if that's a good ending to end it on, but I have a feeling I've talked for a really long time. I can't even see the timer on the camera, so I'm about to find out and then I get to edit it. But Let me know what you think. I mean, obviously, this is another honesty point. I'm going to make the creative decisions that I'm going to make. The vlog is ultimately my responsibility. I have to make content and a channel that continues to be interesting, and the variety that goes into it, the stuff that goes into it, and if 90% of what I could be making, 95% gets cut, ends up on the cutting room floor. You have to create a uniform thing here, and so much of that is just cutting things out. So it's always going to ultimately be my responsibility, but I really would like to know at the same time, how much do you really want to know, or how much do you think you want to know, as far as like what goes into all of this, what I'm thinking, the structural side of things, the behind the scenes stuff, building everything up, trying to turn it into something. What do you want to know? And where do you not care? Where you're like, you know what, like I'd rather just stick to the this, that, and the other thing, and this is what I'm most interested in. I mean, if you made it to the end of the video here, you're probably the type of person that's fairly interested in what's going on, but if you've made it, you know, into this and you're like, I would really rather you just kept to Paris stuff, more than welcome to say that. Never gonna just keep to Paris stuff, because this needs to be about me, because what happens if I leave Paris someday? Like, then, like, yeah, I don't want to lose all of you because you're all here just for Paris, so be careful about that. But sure, I mean, what are you thinking? Like, as we move into a third season, fair game, whatever it is, what do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? What holds do you feel like I've been barring that you want me to let loose? And where are the limits? What's going on? What's happening? I don't even know. Anyways, leave a comment about what you think, and I said I was going to end it. Now I'm actually going to end it. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for beautiful Sundays in Paris, and yeah, we'll see what happens from there.